It's good to see everyone's faces. Mr. Speaker, on April 3rd, the Fisheries Minister said opening dates would be determined by harvesters. Since then, the Minister overruled the will of harvesters in Prince Edward Island and in the Gulf, who voted to start their seasons on time. But she has allowed harvesters from her own riding to proceed with their seasons as scheduled, giving them access to markets weeks before their competitors. This double standard is severely unfair, and Atlantic harvesters are furious, as was demonstrated during the protests on the Cancel Causeway yesterday. When will the minister stop abusing her position and start respecting fish harvesters by opening up lobster fishing areas 23, 24, and 26?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank my honourable colleague for the question. Mr. Speaker, when making decisions with regards to when seasons open, there are a number of factors that are taken into account. They're complex decisions that take into account what is necessary for processors to be ready for the season, what is necessary for harvesters to be ready for the season, as well as socioeconomic impacts in the area. We're looking at all of those measures when we make these decisions. We do not make them lightly. They are difficult decisions to make, and the decisions we've made around the Gulf, one of the main things we heard from all of those areas was that it was very important for them to start on the same date. That is why the decision was made to start on the 15th of May. We're looking forward to seeing the harvesters out on the water. We're looking forward to the product that they bring in, and we'll continue to do everything we can to support the industry. Thank you very much.
Excuse me, Madam Minister. No, the Honourable Minister had another 15 seconds coming to her. I'd like to remind the Honourable members that not to interrupt the person while they're speaking. I'll do my best to try to keep it about level. Maybe what I'll start doing is muting if it's necessary, but interrupting is not going to solve anything. Mr. Arnold, I'll let you continue. You have 3 minutes and 9 seconds left.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. West Coast fishing tourism is a key economic driver in British Columbia, especially in coastal communities. Yet the public fishery gets no respect from this government. Last year, the public fishery was weakened by restrictions based on ideology and not science. A year later, and the fisheries minister refuses to even discuss viable science-based solutions to conserve BC's public fisheries. Does the minister and her government have a will and a plan to support Canada's West Coast fisheries and the communities they sustain?
The Honourable Minister, in 30 seconds, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the fishery is important in every coastal community. I recognize the value that it has on our economy as well as what it means to our coastal communities. That's why we continue to work with those communities and with the fisheries to make sure that we're doing everything we possibly can to support them. During these extremely difficult times, we're working on measures with the fishery in BC as well as on the Atlantic coast and the eastern Quebec to make sure that we're delivering for them and making sure that all of the issues that they're having are being addressed. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Arnold.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Canada's seniors, especially those on basic incomes, are being hard hit by the COVID-19 crisis, and as they face new rising costs and scarcity of services. Seniors require adequate caregiver supports, physical safety, and freedom to access their savings to reinforce their financial security. Why has this government failed to recognize the increasing challenges that seniors are facing, and will the government support Canada's senior citizens?
The Honourable Minister, in 30 seconds or less, please.
Thank you. I want to thank my honourable colleague for that question, and I just want to assure him that the government has been focused on seniors during this challenging time. We have provided a GST credit supplement of $400 for single seniors and $600 for couples for low and modest income seniors. We have also ensured that the Canada Emergency Response Benefit is there for seniors that have lost income due to COVID-19. And so we've made them eligible.
We'll go back to Mr. Arnold. Mr. Arnold, you have a minute, hopefully a 30-second question and a 30-second answer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On April 23rd, my colleagues and I called on the government to create a program that would match students seeking employment with employers in Canada's essential food supply chain. What has the government done to match students and other Canadians seeking employment with employers in the agriculture and agri-food sectors, including those in the fish and seafood sector?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I apologize for the delay. Mr. Speaker, we're doing all we can to make sure that we create, using our existing employment programs, opportunities for students to work and get work experience this summer. We know, though, that this is going to be really tough, especially in areas like agriculture. So we have dedicated streams for agriculture sector employers to access students with help from the government, and a number of different initiatives, including Canada Summer Jobs, which I'm really excited to see the results of in the coming days. Thank you.
Now we'll go on to the next question from Ms. Harder.
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Rempel, you have a point of order?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With my colleague, Mr. Arnold, it's the second time that I note that you've threatened to cut off a Conservative microphone. I'm just wondering, given that this isn't the House of Commons and it's structured as a committee, what standing order would give you the right to cut off a member of Parliament using a mute button? It seems a little dictatorial, and I was just wondering if you could clarify that based on the standing orders. Thank you.
I don't think I threatened to use a mute, but thank you for bringing that up. I'm trying to keep the rules where the questions and the answers so that there's no interruptions on either side are equal, and that's what we're going to continue. I didn't use the mute. I did it verbally, and I think that's a little more civil way of doing it. I hope you approve. I'm not asking you to comment on that. We'll go over to Ms. Harder. Thank you.
But point of order, Mr. Chair, you actually, to me last week, and Mr. Arnold, you actually did suggest that you were going to use the mute button.
I believe if we take everything out and go over them, bring the papers with the actual verbiage on it where I threatened, and we'll go over it. But I don't think this is the venue to do that. If you want to bring forward a point of order, I'm all in favor of it.
Well, it is. I am bringing forward a point of order.
We'll look into it and get back to you. Thank you. Well, we'll go on to Ms.